you ever ask yourself, what's the point? Do you ever just stop and ask yourself, what's the point? I go to work every day, do the same thing. I don't love my job. It's a job. In order to make enough money, just enough money to pay all your bills, which is a blessing, which is great, which is very fortunate. Then you go home, you rush to leave work so you can get home, but then you go home, you feed your pets, and then you ask yourself, okay, what's it all about? What's the point? Literally, what's the point? Because I only have a few hours, then I gotta go to sleep, wake up and do it all over again. Go to a job that I'm doing because I have to, not because I love it. I just have to. It's not a bad job. You know, it's cool, but it's just a job. You're not making any real difference. You don't feel like you're making any difference. And if something happened to you, your job would continue on without a blip. Without a blip. Maybe one or two people would miss you, but the company, the corporation, it would be like a speck of dust on your book bag. It wouldn't matter. But you're spending your entire life, every minute of every day, doing something so that you could pay rent and drive a car. And the only reason you need to pay rent and drive a car is so that you can have a place to sleep and wash your ass, so that you can get up and go back to work, driving the car that you pay for with the job that you don't like. And you do it over and 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 over again. And then you turn around one day, no matter what job it is, it's the same routine. And you turn around one day and you're not 20, you're not 30, you're not even 40 anymore. Most of your life has gone by and you say, what have I done? Now if you have kids, let me not even go too deep into that because that's a whole vlog all unto itself. Let's say, you know, you've been on the hamster wheel your whole life. Your kids are grown, but they're not doing too well. Some of them aren't doing too well. You know? You have something to live for because you have grandkids. You know, you figured, okay, the kids, the ship has sailed, but you're older, you're wiser, you're so much wiser, and you want to impart your knowledge. You want to be there for your grandkids. Your kids are a lost cause; they don't listen, but you really want to be there for your grandkids. You don't want to be. You don't necessarily care to be here, but you don't want to leave, you know. You want to live out this experience, but you just like, I know 90% of the world is going through what I'm going through, and most people even worse. At least you can pay your bills. At least you can have a routine without, you know, like, oh my God, what am I going to do? I've been there. What am I going to do? I can't pay my bills. I have nowhere to live. What am I going to do? I'm in the street, you know. But every time you overcome something, you realize your problems were literally just a state of mind. Your circumstances, literally, once you've overcome it, you realize, that's what you had to do? Oh, okay, I see the steps I had to take. And you want to share your steps. You want to share it with people who are not where you're at, because you got the formula now. And there is a formula. There is no, you know, get right quick scheme. You can't scam the system. You can't scam this system that you're in. And you want to impart your knowledge. But guess what? You don't have time because you got to go to work. If you want a roof over your head, you're grown. You can't go live with somebody at this point in your life. When you're younger, you might go crash somewhere, but you don't have anywhere to go. You have no family, no friends, no community. You're solo dolo, and there's no one to help you but you. And you think, whoa, I'm at that age where, what if I can't work? What if something happens? What if you're not physically, the healthiest person? What if something happens and you're like, they don't even give out Social Security anymore. Like, what the fuck am I going to do? Like, if something happens to me, my kids ain't got their shit together. I know for a fact I can't live with two of them. One of them I don't talk to, and one of them is on the street. What happens if something happens to me? Like, forget not being able to be there for your grandkids. What happens? I mean, okay, who's going to take care of my animals? What's going to happen to them? Like, I'm holding on by a thread. Like, I literally am. I need a trophy for actually making it to work every day. Like, I mean, and they still complain, oh, you take off too much. I have days. You do have days, but I guess the norm is for people to use them all at once and take a nice vacation to some island somewhere. But when you have to use your vacation days for emergency family and sick days, when you have to use your sick days and your vacation time because you have issues, they complain about, oh, she takes a lot of days off. No, it's the same days everybody else has. I just don't take mine all at once. But it's a corporation, and the gatekeepers are going to gatekeep. That's what they do to keep their job. So you've been there before where you said fuck it all and you lost your job and you ended up homeless. So you don't want to do that. You can't do that. You know better than that. You're too old for that. There's no handouts in this world. There's no one taking care of anyone. Mentally ill people are sleeping on the street. There's no housing. There's no sanctuary. There's no help. There's no help. You can't rely on family. You can't rely on friends. You don't have family or you don't have friends. You have no nest egg, no savings because you didn't know anything. You weren't one of those that were taught. You didn't know shit. So you want to stick around because you got to be around to teach your grandkids. Your kids they're grown, they won't listen. But you got to teach your grandkids what you've learned and how not to end up on this hamster wheel that you cannot get off of. And you're desperate to stay alive. You can't even afford to get sick. You're desperate to stay alive. Because you're thinking, I got to prepare for retirement. What is that? And you gotta impart your knowledge to your grandkids so they won't end up like you. And you think this every morning on your way to work. You hop on that hamster wheel. But you know enough, you've learned enough in life to know that while you're going through all this in your mind on your way to your job as a working slave, you still gotta remember to be grateful. You still gotta remember that 90% of the world is doing worse than you. Yeah, 10% is doing way better than you. I don't know why people get in the far left lane and go 50 miles an hour. I don't get it, but okay. So you remind yourself how blessed you are, and you know people that actually have died in the last 2 or 3 weeks. People that you knew that are dead. They didn't even wake up in the morning. Literally, they went to sleep and died in their sleep. And you realize that you're still blessed to be here. Celebrities are dying. I was watching some reruns of some show. This cute little woman, I think it was called Nashville or something. And I woke up yesterday and saw on social media that she died. I mean, Hollywood, that's a whole nother beast. But point is, through it all, you still got to remind yourself, you're worried about your grandkids, but you still have them. They're here. You're worried about your children, but they're all alive. They're still here. Death is not the end. Death is not the worst thing, but they're here. You don't like your job. I mean, you're not thrilled. It's not the work you really want to do, but work is cool. People are cool at work, and it's not the hardest job in the world, and you can do it. You got a skill, and you're a working poor person, but as far as the pile of poor people, you're a little bit on top of the pile of the poor people. You're poor. Monetarily, you're at the bottom of the barrel, but you're at the top of the bottom of the barrel, if that makes sense. So you say, okay, you can pay your bills. You don't need a man. You don't need a woman. You don't need help. You literally can pay your bills. You don't have anything left over, but you can pay your bills, and you get to eat. That's good. That's a blessing, right? Some people are taking MARTA every day. You can get up late and fly to work in 20 minutes. You can, because you got a vehicle. Barely, you're holding on. Yeah, they're robbing you blind. The system is fraudulent. It's all a scam. It's corrupt, and they're robbing you. But you're still there. You're still in there. You're still in there. You're okay.